Okay, so you're here with us because let's be honest, you want to know the real deal, right? Like you're tired of all the noise and just want to get to what actually matters. And well, that's what we're all about here, right? Cutting through the fluff and give you the info you need to actually know what's up.
No BS, just the good stuff.
Exactly. And today we're diving into something that a lot of you out there with websites have probably dealt with at some point.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
The kind of confusing and sometimes kind of shady world of website hosting fees and all the little surprises that can pop up when you least expect it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah, those hidden costs and unexpected charges, those can be a real pain.
So we've got this really interesting real-world example that we're going to break down for you.
Welcome to your marketing department, where we share the best tips for marketing your small business. And the full link to this topic is down in the description. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss our latest update.
It all comes from this article by Unscrewed Marketing.
You might remember them from before as Vicky Woo Marketing. They just did a little rebranding.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they got this great article where they talk about one of their clients and this whole crazy situation they had with GoDaddy.
Oh, GoDaddy. They can be a handful sometimes.
We've also got a little background info on Unscrewed Marketing and Vicky Woo herself. She's got like decades of experience in marketing, so she knows her stuff.
Yeah, she's definitely an expert.
Our goal today is to kind of like dissect what happened in this specific case with GoDaddy and pull out the bigger lessons about all the potential traps that can be lurking in your website hosting account. Like you think you've got this simple service right, but there's a lot that can go wrong if you're not careful.
It can be way more complicated than people realize.
And maybe even more importantly, we want to really highlight why it can be so valuable to have someone on your side who understands this whole technical landscape, someone who's got your back and knows what to look for.
Like a website guardian angel.
Yeah, something like that. So let's jump right into this GoDaddy situation. So this client of Unscrewed Marketing, they get their annual renewal invoice from GoDaddy, and right off the bat, something just seems wrong.
Oh, red flag.
You know that feeling when you see a bill and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I was expecting?
The dreaded bill shock.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of unexpected charges on the invoice, and they cause the total cost to like jump way up.
Of course it does.
And naturally, the client's like, I need a second opinion on this. So they reach out to Unscrewed Marketing for help.
Makes sense. You don't want to just pay a bill if you're not sure what you're being charged for.
Right. Now, it's really important to understand that Unscrewed Marketing, they usually work within a client's existing setup. They're not about pushing people to switch platforms or anything like that.
We're all about making what you already have work better.
Exactly. Their focus is on making sure your website runs smoothly and efficiently however you've got things set up.
No need for unnecessary changes.
But here's the thing. The article mentions that GoDaddy is no longer on their list of recommended hosting providers.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Yeah, they've had clients run into issues with GoDaddy's support in the past, so they're kind of cautious about recommending them now.
Yeah, their support can be hit or miss sometimes.
So already that tells you there's some potential for problems, right?
Definitely a little foreshadowing there.
So back to the invoice. There are two charges in particular that really stand out. They basically double the yearly cost of hosting.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
The first one is for something called an PHP extended support fee. All right, so let's break this down a bit. What even is PHP, and why would you have to pay extra for support for it?
Okay, so PHP, that's like a core programming language that a lot of websites are built on, especially ones that use WordPress.
Which is what Unscrewed Marketing specializes in.
Right, exactly. So think of PHP like the engine that makes the website run,
Yeah, makes great sense.
And like any software, PHP has different versions. And older versions, they eventually reach their end of life. You know what I mean?
Meaning they don't get security updates anymore.
Exactly, which is a big problem security-wise. So hosting companies sometimes offer this extended support for those outdated versions, but usually the best thing to do is just upgrade to a newer version of PHP that's still getting those updates.
So you're saying this fee was basically for keeping things outdated?
Pretty much. It's like paying extra to drive a car that's not safe anymore.
Wow. Okay, that's not good. And that's where the first big red flag pops up. GoDaddy wouldn't have told Unscrewed Marketing about this extended support. That notification would have gone straight to the client. And honestly, how many of us actually read every single email that comes through, especially those super technical ones?
Yeah, they can get lost in the inbox easily.
And even if the client did see the email, they might not have understood what it all meant. Like they might not have realized that there was a simpler solution, like just upgrading to a newer version of PHP.
It can be hard to decipher that technical jargon if you're not a developer.
Exactly. They might have just thought it was some mandatory fee that they had no choice but to pay.
Which is exactly what GoDaddy probably hoped for.
Right. Plus, unscrewed marketing, they didn't have access to the client's billing info within their GoDaddy account. So unless the client specifically showed them the invoice, they wouldn't even have known about this extra charge. This really shows you how important it is to have someone knowledgeable who knows what to look for on these invoices.
Someone who speaks fluent web hosting billing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a translator for all that confusing technical stuff.
Or like having a mechanic who can spot unnecessary repairs on your car bill.
Perfect analogy. So as soon as Unscrewed Marketing saw this PHP fee, they were like, nope, this isn't right. They went into the hosting settings and upgraded the client's PHP version to the latest stable release.
Quick and easy fix.
Boom, problem solved. No more need for that extended support fee.
Gotta love a simple solution.
They did mention that they don't always immediately jump to the very newest PHP version. Sometimes they wait for a couple of updates just to make sure things are stable,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to risk breaking anything with a brand new update.
But in this case, it was clear that the extended support fee was totally bogus. So it makes you wonder, is it ever really okay for hosting companies to charge these PHP extended support fees? Or is it almost always a sign that they're trying to take advantage of people who don't know any better?
That's a good question. It's kind of sneaky to charge a steep fee, as they called it, for support on an older version when you're not even really providing any special support for it,
Yeah, it feels like they're preying on people who might not be tech savvy enough to handle the updates themselves.
It definitely raises some red flags.
But hold on, because as bad as that PHP fee was, the second charge is where things go from strange to like, what is even happening here?
Oh boy, this sounds bad.
The second charge was over $200 for level 3 additional server resources.
Level 3, what does that even mean?
Right. It sounds important, but what is it actually? So keep in mind that Unscrewed Marketing, they build and maintain websites to be efficient. They even say this client's website was extremely lightweight. There was absolutely no reason for this website to need anything more than a basic hosting plan.
Yeah, a lightweight website shouldn't need heavyweight resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are server resources anyway?
Okay, so basically, server resources are like the behind-the-scenes stuff that powers your website. Things like processing power, memory, and bandwidth, which is like how much data can be transferred.
Okay, so like the engine of the website.
Kind of, yeah. You can think of it like different hosting plans come with different amounts of these resources. Like if you have a simple website with not much traffic, you don't need a super powerful server,
So like you don't need a giant office building if you only have a small team.
Exactly. A small website can run just fine on a smaller, more affordable server.
Gotcha. So obviously Unscrewed Marketing is like, we got to figure out what's going on here. They log into the client's cPanel.
Yeah, it's that control panel you get with most hosting accounts. It lets you manage all the different parts of your website.
Right. So they wanted to see what kind of server resources the client actually had available and how much of them they were using.
Makes sense. You got to check what you're actually getting for that $200.
And guess what they found?
I bet it wasn't level 3 resources.
You nailed it. The client's account was only set up with the basic level resources. And not only that, but they were only using a tiny fraction of those basic resources. And get this, the level 3 upgrades that they're being charged $200 for were never even applied to their account.
They were paying for something they weren't even getting. That's crazy.
It's like paying for a first-class plane ticket and then being stuck in coach.
That's a great analogy. This is a serious problem. Like, it seems like a major mistake on GoDaddy's part.
Right. So obviously Unscrewed Marketing is like, okay, you need to contact GoDaddy and fight this. They told the client to dispute both of those charges and even gave him specific points to bring up on the call.
So they were like, here's your ammo, go get them.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. The client had already paid the invoice because it included the hosting renewal for the whole next year. So now it was all about getting that money back.
Oh, man, that makes it even harder.
Right. It's one thing to dispute a charge before it goes through, but once the money's gone, it could be way harder to get it back.
Yeah, you're basically fighting an uphill battle at that point.
And this is where the story takes this whole other crazy turn. So the client calls GoDaddy to dispute the charges, and apparently they did not take it well.
Oh, no. What did they do?
The article says they fought back hard. Like they were really resistant to giving the client a refund.
Classic GoDaddy.
Their excuse was that the client needed the extra PHP support and the server resources because they were hosting 2 websites on the account.
2 websites. But we know that's not true.
Right. Now, for someone who doesn't really understand web hosting, that might sound believable.
Yeah, people often mix up having multiple domain names with having multiple websites.
Exactly. It's an easy mistake to make if you're not super familiar with all the technical stuff. So the client did own 2 website domains through GoDaddy. One was for their main business, and that one was hosted on this GoDaddy account.
Okay, that's the one we've been talking about.
But the other domain was for an Airbnb rental property. And that website was actually hosted on a completely separate platform, specifically for vacation rentals.
So it wasn't even on GoDaddy's servers.
Nope. So yeah, he had 2 domains registered with GoDaddy, but they were only hosting one actual website for him.
Which completely blows their argument out of the water.
Right. And remember how we said the client was barely using any of the basic resources on their plan?
Yeah, they were nowhere near their limit.
Even if he was hosting 2 simple websites, he still wouldn't have needed those level 3 upgrades.
It just doesn't add up.
The article even mentions that Vicky Wu herself hosts 6 websites between her and her husband on a different provider, and they don't have any problems like this.
6 websites. And no extra charges. That says a lot.
But GoDaddy wasn't giving up. They kept pushing back, and even told the client that if he downgraded his account, his sites would break.
Oh, come on. That's just a scare tactic.
Right. Like they were trying to make him scared to change anything, even though the PHP upgrade was already done, so the extended support didn't matter anymore, and he wasn't even using all the resources he was already paying for.
It's like they're trying to hold his website hostage.
He really does feel that way. And then to make things even weirder, at some point during the call with GoDaddy, the call just cuts out.
They hung up on him.
Yeah, just like that. Poof, gone.
Yeah. Seriously. That's so unprofessional.
The client was obviously super frustrated and even more suspicious at this point. So he texts Vicky Wu, and they decide to try again the next day. But you want to know what happens the next morning.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
The client wakes up, and his entire business website is down. It's showing a fatal error message.
Oh no, his website crashed.
Yep, totally down. And remember, this was right after Unscrewed Marketing had upgraded the PHP version, and they had checked everything to make sure it was working perfectly.
So something happened overnight.
It had to have, because it was fine the day before. This is why it can be so risky to rely on your hosting company for everything. Because if something goes wrong like this, you're at their mercy.
And clearly GoDaddy wasn't being very merciful.
So the client immediately contacts Unscrewed Marketing again, and they're like, we're on it.
Thank goodness for website heroes.
Right. They got to work figuring out what was wrong, and it took them about an hour to get the website back online.
They saved the day.
They even did some basic cleanup stuff while they were in there. But here's the really crazy part. While they were fixing the website, they noticed this brand new plugin in the client's WordPress plugin folder, a plugin that they had never seen before and definitely didn't install themselves.
Wait, what? How did that get there?
That's the million-dollar question. You know what plugins are, right?
Yeah, they're like little add-ons for WordPress that give you extra features.
Exactly. So Unscrewed Marketing, they keep track of every single plugin that's installed on their clients' websites, so they know exactly what's supposed to be there.
Smart move.
And this plugin was not on that list. They have no idea how it got there. They deleted it as part of fixing the website, but think about the timing here.
Right after the client argued with GoDaddy and then the call got cut off?
It's super suspicious, right? Now, the article is careful to say that they're not directly accusing GoDaddy of anything. But on the timing of the website crashing and this random plugin appearing is just way too weird.
It definitely seems like more than just a coincidence.
So this whole situation really highlights how important it is to have someone who knows what they're doing looking after your website. Imagine if this client hadn't had Unscrewed Marketing to help them.
What would have happened?
They would have ended up paying almost $300 for stuff they didn't need. They wouldn't have known how to check if those level 3 server upgrades were even working, which they weren't. And when the website crashed, they wouldn't have had a clue how to fix it.
They would have been totally lost.
Can you imagine the panic if your website suddenly went down and you had no idea what to do?
That's a nightmare scenario for any business.
And that's why services like Unscrewed Marketing's WordPress maintenance plans are so valuable. They know how confusing and tricky hosting companies can be. And sometimes those companies even try to take advantage of people who don't understand all the technical stuff.
It's like having insurance for your website.
Exactly. Their maintenance plans make sure that clients aren't overpaying for services they don't need, and they provide that expert support when unexpected problems pop up.
They've got your back.
The article also mentions that Unscrewed Marketing includes website maintenance in their bigger website development and SEO packages too. So if you're doing a bigger project with them, you've already got that extra layer of protection built in.
That's a great value add.
Technology is amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's so powerful and essential for businesses these days. But it can also be so complex and intimidating. It's such a relief to have someone you trust who can handle all the technical stuff and make sure everything's running smoothly.
It takes a huge weight off your shoulders.
At the end of the day, your website should be an asset that helps your business grow, not a constant source of stress and surprise expenses.
It should be working for you, not against you.
Right. And it's worth pointing out that Unscrewed Marketing's founder, Vicky Wu, she's got like 30 years of experience as a CMO. She's worked with Fortune 500 companies, nonprofits, and now small and medium-sized businesses. So she knows her stuff.
Wow, 30 years. That's impressive.
They even rebranded recently from Vicky Wu Marketing to Unscrewed Marketing to really focus on helping those smaller businesses get access to the same level of marketing expertise that bigger companies have.
It's like leveling the playing field.
Exactly. And that experience probably played a big role in how quickly they were able to spot the problems with the GoDaddy invoice and help the client fix everything.
Experience is everything in these situations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's the big question for you, our listener. Think about the things that you might assume are pretty straightforward, like website hosting. We set it up, and then we kind of forget about it until a bill shows up.
Out of sight, out of mind.
But as we've seen today, there can be a lot going on behind the scenes, and not all of it is good. Would it be worth it to have an expert keeping an eye on things for you? Someone who can catch those hidden costs and fix those technical problems before they become a major headache?
It's a good question to ask yourself. How much is your time and peace of mind worth?
Think about your own experiences with online services. Have you ever gotten a bill that you didn't understand or had a tech issue that you couldn't solve yourself? Having a pro in your corner could save you a lot of hassle in the long run.
It's all about being informed and having the right support.
The bottom line is, the more you know, even about the stuff that seems boring, like website hosting, the better decisions you can make. And that can make a huge difference for your business and your life online.
Knowledge is power.
And that's what the deep dive is all about. Helping you get that knowledge so you can feel confident and in control.
So go out there and unscrew your marketing.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Hey, my new book, Pivot to Success, Transforming Marketing Missteps into Milestones, is a personal journey through marketing expertise. It's like a one-on-one session with me, exploring where businesses most often go wrong in their marketing and how to make it right. You can find the book on my website, or you can go directly to Amazon and search for Pivot to Success, Transforming Marketing Missteps into Milestones. Grab your copy today because it's designed to help you recover from bad advice.